Happy to be joined by American top team coach Marcus Parrumpa DaMatta, who I believe is cornering three fighters on Saturday: Marina Moroz, Edson Barboza, and Renato Moicano. Parrumpa, thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Thank you so much for glad to be here.
Yeah, and it's a busy night for you. I feel like every weekend is busy for you, right? But this is this seems to be like a very kind of big night for American top team in general for so many reasons. But let's start off with Marina Moroz. I mean, it's been a couple of years since she's last fought. She's taking
Uh-huh.
on she's taking on Maria Agapova. A lot of bad blood, but of course, a lot on her mind with everything that's going on in Ukraine, of course. But how excited are you to see her finally compete? Because I know she had a lot of canceled fights.
Man, it's been crazy for her, since the pandemic started, which was March 14th in Brazil. That was her last fight against, Shitara, and she's been training. She's been, trying to get back in her groove, but seems to be like everything is lying against her, like visa issues. She was ready to fight um, uh, Carolina, and she had a bad cut with concussion. So I'm just so glad that we finally made a camp, and she's going to be able to fight.
Any concern about like ring rust or stuff like that? I know a lot of it was not under control. And you said it was more like kind of like visa and the cut, not so much injuries, right?
Yeah, no, it was just and still going on about the visa. We had because she had to go back after Brasilia instead of coming to the United States. She had to go back to Ukraine because of her visa, and she stayed in Ukraine for a long time trying to get back in the country. She finally got back in the country. We finally got a fight coming up. Then she had a cut with a concussion, which delayed a little more. Then we're trying to get her back, and now the adjustment because she can be in the country, but she could not work, meaning fighting. So UFC had to change that visa, into an athlete's visa again. And with the whole COVID and everything, it's being delayed so much. But now finally, she has no injuries. She has nothing like no other issues. Unfortunately, that's those things in Russia, and her family is sitting at her house, her farm, with a bunch of handmade grenades. It's so crazy. I mean, it's not even I can even start to explain how crazy Ukraine is right now.
I can only imagine a lot of emotions for her because, first of all, the fight with Maria, a lot of bad blood between the two of them. And to add this onto it, of course, more important, how do you keep her kind of focused? Because, of course, it's an emotional week for her.
Yeah, I've been saying this for the whole camp. Agapova has her issues, with Marina, but she has a lot of issues with a lot of people, including herself. I mean, she's a good girl, she's a good person, but she has some issues, like I said, that she has to resolve. She doesn't like Marina. That's fine. Marina, is focused on her strategy, her task at hand. She's focused on the fight. I'll keep her reminding her this is not a bar fight. This is not a dog fight. This is a mixed martial arts. So she needs to put everything together, but most important, she needs to be focused on Agapova's fighting skills, not the person Agapova, not what's going on, you know, on Agapova's mind and how she's gonna come. We're already expecting that she's gonna be wired at weigh-ins, and everything. But to me, I see the fight two strikers, that one has a real bad blood against the other. Maybe she's gonna make some mistakes because she's gonna be emotional. I don't see Marina being emotional about that. If she's emotional, it's going to be because of the Russian invasion in Ukraine, not because of Agapova.
And of course, because Maria used to train at American top team. So how much do you take from that? Or do you feel like perhaps she could have changed a little bit. But she spent quite a bit of time at American Top Team.
Yeah, she still trains at one of our American Top Team affiliates. Roger Craw. He has American Top Team Sunrise. So she kind of like branched out from the main academy, but she found another home at Rogers Gym. She's mainly a striker. She has some jiu-jitsu skills. You know, and I think she developed, showed in her last fight against Sabrina Mazo. She's dangerous. Don't get me wrong. She's dangerous. She's unpredictable. You know, but I think overall game, Marina has a better understanding of everything that's going on inside a fight. And I hope that she can put everything together.
For sure. It's going to be exciting to see Marina back in the cage for sure. Let's talk about Edson Barboza. He's got a big fight with Bryce Mitchell. A grappler, not the first time that he fights that kind of opponent. Of course, this is your area of expertise with jiu-jitsu and everything. Is it safe to say that you guys are expecting Bryce Mitchell to just try to pressure Edson and take him down?
100%. That's the perfect style grapplers against a striker, which Bryce Mitchell doesn't like to maybe he doesn't agree with that. He thinks that he's also has some striking skill, which I think he does. He's not a kind of guy that he's gonna run across the cage and try to dive into a single leg, double leg, body lock. Even though I still think that's his bread and butter. He's gonna try to put pressure on Edson from the first second of the fight until the last second of the third round. He's gonna excuse me, he's gonna try to actually put Edson against the cage, go take him down and drown Edson on jiu-jitsu grappling uh, um, uh, world, right? Obviously, the strategies are two very uh, known strategy. Edson's gonna try to fight to keep the fight standing. He's gonna try to hit him and try to capitalize on his willing to close the distance, take him down to actually score. And we encountered something very similar when he fought Amir Kouani in Abu Dhabi, a southpaw that sometimes changes. He wants to dive in for his bread and butter, grappling abilities, and pretty much we're gonna try to implement that mentality. Not the same game plan. I mean, not the same striking uh, 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 ability, but also some things new that Edson is working with Coach Anderson, and but it's the same approach. Keep the fight standing, hit him hard, and get this O off of his record.
And I know Edson's had a couple of frustrating losses at lightweight, though, where guys have like put a heavy grapple approach on him. Kevin Lee, Habib Nurmagomedov, but this is featherweight. I mean, guys, I'm not saying that Bryce is not strong, but obviously, even Kevin Lee and Habib, they walk around. They're pretty big lightweights as well. They were. So you think Edson at featherweight that kind of helps him a bit when he's fighting some of these guys as opposed to when he was lightweight?
Absolutely. Edson is a very physical guy. And now at featherweight, this is actually his natural weight. He used to eat when he didn't even want to eat to be able to keep a lightweight. So he used to have two dinners. You know, so he would not wake up in the morning too light. So it was kind of like exhaustion for him to having to eat to keep the lightweight. Now he's doing everything that he always did, eating normally, eating like until he's satisfied and not have to overdo it. And then he's waking up, pretty much where we want him to be during camp. you know Sometimes I even tell him that, oh, eh, this week you kind of light, let's put some back on. But again, nowadays, there's a lot of good grapplers in the game, and Bryce Mitchell is one of them. We took him very serious. I took him very serious because, like you said, it's kind of like my department. We are aware of all his abilities, and hopefully, again, we can implement a good game plan, a good strategy to keep him, to keep Edson safe.
One last thing on this fight. We said, we know that you're expecting Bryce to grapple, but what do you make of Bryce's jiu-jitsu? How would you rate Bryce's jiu-jitsu skills?
Well, that's two types of rates, right? His jiu-jitsu and his jiu-jitsu for MMA. I don't know about his jiu-jitsu because I never saw him actually training or competing in anything rather than MMA. But his jiu-jitsu for MMA is very good, very effective, very tiring for whoever's underneath him. He makes a few mistakes, but not a lot. And he has some dangerous position with this when he gets there. He's very dangerous. And I believe he's a top fighter as far as grappling for MMA.
Let's talk about Renato Moicano and Rafael dos Anjos. What was kind of the discussion with Renato? Because we saw him put that tweet out there that he was willing to step in. And then I guess he ended up getting the call. So what was the discussion like with the coaches? What do you think of him stepping in to fight Rafael dos Anjos?
Well, there was not discussion. There's no discussion at all. He did that. He was in Brazil, you know. And when I saw that, I was like, holy crap, he's crazy. He just went to Brazil. He landed in Brazil on Monday morning, and then the whole thing happened with Fiziev, you know, and then he put himself in a situation that he wanted to fight. I'm like, holy crap. I saw that he did that on the internet. And then a few hours later, he texts me, and I'm like, are you crazy, man? It's, that this week, right? He said, yeah, yeah, I'm ready. I just trained this morning, because in between his fight and this week I was out of the gym. I was in Ireland for Bellator, so I didn't see, but he was training that week, and so it's crazy that we got the call, we got it, and then he went straight from Brazil all the way here to Vegas, and I think it's going to be a very interesting fight. Even though it's a 5 rounder, Dos Anjos is a very game opponent that we all know that he has insane pressure, insane pace. We saw this a while ago, but it's been 6 years he doesn't make lightweight, even though he's making 160, not almost 55. It's been 6 years he doesn't go below 170. Two surgeries, one on the hip, one on the knee. So let's see which those Anjos shows up. I am expecting the best Virgin of dos Anjos, But in another hand, Moicano is very, very motivated. Something that I haven't seen in the past, year or two. He's very motivated. He doesn't need to cut a lot of weight. He was not. It wasn't. He didn't have time to be, picking up and go up in weight. So he didn't even have no sugar, no beers, no alcohol. So he was just a little bit heavier than he usually was. And I believe that's going to be an interesting fight. And even though it's a 5 round, and Renato took the fight on, I don't know, 5 days notice. And before that, we were preparing for Hernandez, and it was a 3 round fight. So let's see how he reacts. But I think it's a very interesting fight.
At this point, because it's such short notice, do you even have time to strategize, or do you try to focus on what Hinata wants to do? Like it's such like what you said it like 5 days. So what do you do in these 5 days with Hinata? Do you just make sure that he's healthy and mentally like comfortable in the fight, or what do you do in these 5 days?
Yeah, absolutely. We always will have time to strategize and game plan. That's not the issue. The issue was we didn't have time to train that strategy. So, but either way, I believe that the key for this fight for Renato is to be complete. He doesn't have, for example, look, I want you to take this guy down and do your thing, or I want you to keep this fight standing up. Like, for example, Edson is a very distinct, strategy. This fight, he has to be an overall complete fighter. Dos Anjos is good in wrestling, good on the ground, has power and very good pressure standing up. So he needs to be able to either neutralize everything or even, just impose a little bit of everything in his game, during the fight.
Any concern about the 5 rounds in terms of strategy? Is there a certain thing or that you want Renato to do or not to do, or to avoid, maybe not be a little too aggressive? Because like you said, Dos Anjos pushes that pace, and he's probably going to try to do that, knowing that Renatos perhaps hasn't trained for a 5 round fight. So any concern over that?
No, I think because since Dos Anjos was training for Fiziev, obviously his game plan would be putting the pressure and taking Fiziev down and finishing him. I believe that Dos Anjos still gonna try to implement that kind of game. He's not gonna stay on the outside trying to box with Moicano because Moicano is a little taller than him. I think he's still gonna try to put pressure, and maybe taking Moicano down, but Moicano is very good on the ground. Maybe you know he won't be able to. He won't want to do that. You know. But as far as strategy wise, obviously he cannot go extremely hard in the beginning of the fight because we don't know what's going on. How he's going to react of a 5 rounder. But obviously we have to adapt and adjust everything throughout 5 rounds instead of the three.
Yeah, and I have to ask you about Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. Obviously, Colby used to be at American Top Team. I don't believe you've cornered either one of them, but I'm sure you've worked with both of them over the years. So, just what are your thoughts on, first of all, kind of the drama going on between them? I'm sure you've witnessed some of it at the gym. Like, is it disappointing to see? Did you see it coming? Like, what was your reaction to see how bad it's become between them?
I mean, it's real. One thing that people need to understand that the rivalry is real. There's nothing fake, even though Kobe was known to put that persona, in front of the cameras, in front of the fight, in front of the fans and fight week and everything. But this is real. They really, they were really close, Kobe got in at American Top Team. He was fresh of college, had no fights. We put him on the map of fighting. We put him in the UFC. We actually put him to be an interim champion. And throughout these years, he was really close to George. It was kind of like a trade up of help. Obviously, George being a more experienced fighter, he would help him as far as experience and striking. And obviously Kobe would help Masvidal a lot of his wrestling department. So it was something that I wouldn't see that. I couldn't see that coming. You know, but once Masvidal, once Kobe got closer to to be the challenger and close to the top 10, I mean, we could see that this could happen. I didn't know it was going to be that bad. You know, but other than that, talking about fight, I think. I saw an interview that Usman said something very interesting, and I believe that's the right approach for everybody. Kobe will be surprised how hard it is to take Masvidal down and keep him down. And in the same hand, Masvidal was going to be very surprised how good Kobe's striking is. So it's going to be kind of like an even surprise, for each one of them. Being a 5 round and the way that Kobe fights, obviously we have to give a little bit of advantage of Kobe on that department, But for the first time in a long time, I saw Masvidal really dedicating himself a lot for this fight. He was not too heavy. He was actually in good shape, which is to me and for everybody who knows Masvidal is very surprising. He feels good. He's in good spirits. And he's that kind of a fighter. He's not gonna bring emotions to the cage. Everything is gonna be shut down when they close the the doors, and he's gonna focus on the task at hand and try to put out Kobe. Let's see.
What was your relationship like with Colby, if you even had one? Like, what are kind of your memories like with Colby Covington?
I'm gonna say this one more time. I never had a problem with Kobe. As a matter of fact, he always treated me very well. He was very respectful to me in all of the circumstances. Even when he was coming to my grappling classes, he was always very respectful. Hey, coach, may I join in? And he was always very, very respectful with me. At the gym, I've seen him treating the people that work at the gym very, very very polite. He was never a guy that was like an asshole all around. I believe that that was created to create the Colby Covington that we see nowadays. So as far as his relationship with me, we never had a problem.
And how do you see this fight with Jorge playing out? Like you said, both guys are going to be surprised, perhaps underestimating each other. I don't know if they're doing it kind of for the cameras and the promotion of the fight, but they both seem to think that they're going to win this super easily, whether it's Masvidal or Colby Covington. But you obviously know Jorge and Colby being around them for so long at the gym. How do you see this one playing out?
It will not going to be an easy fight for either one of them. There's going to be a 5 rounder, I believe. I believe the the fight will go 5 rounds. I believe Masvidal will win 3 of those 5. But again, it's a 50-50 chance. That it's a coin toss. I think that's very, very easy to see that Colby can win 3 rounds as well. You know, I believe that Masvidal was ready for this, as ready as he can be. He did a lot of wrestling defense and wrestling training with Bo Nickel, which is probably one of the top 3 in the country right now. And I'm sure that that Colby also trained a lot of good strikers at his gym, and I believe in Masvidal. Masvidal is going to win.
Parrumpa, before I let you go, and I really appreciate your time, I wanted to ask you about Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling, the rematch. First of all, are you going to be cornering Peter Yan for the rematch?
No, no, this time I won't be on his corner. He did his whole camp in Thailand. We spoke a few times about the things that he needs to still address, even though he's in Thailand, about the wrestling and everything. I see the fight going the same way. I don't see Aljamain, bringing anything new to the cage. He's gonna try to heavy grappling, heavy wrestling, and try to get Peter's back and do his thing. I see Peter frustrating him like he did on the first fight. I don't see anything that can be done to surprise Peter. You know, um, Maybe he's gonna have some different approach as far as wrestling. But I don't see that. I think Peter still wins at least 4 out of the 5 rounds.
And you said you don't see Aljamain surprising Peter in the rematch, but the first fight, because it was perhaps not the way the fans expected it to go. I don't know about you guys, but did anything surprise you with Aljamain's approach in the first fight?
No, no. Like I said, I mean, he was exactly what I thought he would do. He was exactly what I thought that he was gonna be, as far as attacking, as far as his best shots, a double leg, and try to take Peter's back. And what surprised me on the first fight is that Peter took him down a few times. He got 7 out of 8 attempts, so he finished 7 takedowns out of 8 attempts. And Aljamain failed 12 times out of 13. So he took Peter down once and stayed down for maybe 5 seconds. Peter came up and never got taken down again. And not only that, he took Aljamain down a few times. So that was something that actually I was really happy, because that, like you said, is my department. Not only I could help Peter defend the takedowns, but also implement a few takedowns that he could surprise Peter. And everybody knows how dangerous and amazing Peter's striking is. So I don't see anything changing. Not at all.
That's right. And Parrumpa, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate your time. I know how busy you are. I see you on a flight every single week. So another busy week for you. Best of luck. Really looking forward to the fights. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Farah. Thank you so much. As always, very happy to talk to you guys. Thanks for the opportunity, and let's go to war.